the mindset Ohio State must have through the NCAA tournament. A big matchup for Malachi Branham is coming up on Friday, and why he needs to be huge on both ends of the court. And is EA Sports teasing us with another video game that college sports fans will love? All that and more right here on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, March 15th in the year 2022. And today's episode of Locked on Buckeyes is brought to you by StatHero. StatHero is reshaping the way you play fantasy sports. Dozens of house-based games to play daily. No sharks, no funky props, just your skill versus the lineups you choose. Sign up today at stathero.com/lockedon. I would also like to thank everyone out there for making Locked on Buckeyes their first listen of every single day. In the postseason, in any sport, there are going to be people like myself on podcasts, on radio shows, in articles, on websites that are providing their opinion about the game, about the matchups, about the teams. They're providing their opinion for a while. There is a week, basically a week between Selection Sunday and Ohio State's first game in the NCAA tournament. There is a lot of time for opinions to be thrown out there, for hot takes to be made. There's going to be plenty of time for that. And as an Ohio State basketball player, your season has not gone like you want it. Not just with the record you currently have, but also with the injuries and really the team not being a well-oiled machine and not really being in sync like you would think a basketball team would be at this time of year. Yes, there have been hiccups. Yes, there have been pauses. Yes, there have been cancellations and postponements, but those things all together, those things factor into the season. But even then, I think Ohio State, E.J. Liddell, Malachi Branham, Jamar Wheeler, I think the team still believes they could be a better basketball team, and they are a better basketball team than what they have put on the court this year. And with the long time between Selection Sunday and the Ohio State playing their first game, and with the way the season has gone, it gives people a lot of time, more time, to make opinions. Ohio State desperately needs to block out the noise. They cannot listen to the things out there, positive, neutral, or negative. You just have to let them go. I'm not going to sing the Frozen song, Let It Go. I really almost did it right there. It was right on the tip of my tongue. I was about to get that note, hit that right tune. Y'all going to say, Jay, you could sing. Not really. It just would have been a good little way to have some fun here on the podcast. Might happen sometime down the road. Stick around for that. Trust me. You'll get a good laugh. But Ohio State desperately needs to block out the noise. We have watched numerous games, football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, hockey. It doesn't matter. We have watched numerous games where the coach or the players or a collective group of players, not the entire team, but a collective group of players, listen and feed into the noise out there, either puffing them up or bringing them back down to earth and not allowing them to play like they normally do. Think about this. This is not a knock against LeBron James. Even though I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, this is the reality. He has a tattoo calling himself a tattoo on his back, on his shoulder blade, going from across the entire thing, the chosen one. LeBron has that tattoo, and I've heard he's had that tattoo since high school. Let these things sink into you. LeBron's an amazing talent he's still doing amazing things in the NBA. The Lakers aren't that good, but LeBron's putting up 50-point games, I think, twice in a week. I'm like, dude, what are you on, man? What are you doing that's helping you be this good at this age? Because I want some of that in my life. I'm not the age that LeBron is, but I would love to be as successful as LeBron has been in the National Basketball Association. But LeBron has that tattoo, the chosen one. I don't know when the first time was that he heard the chosen one and somebody used that phrase to describe LeBron. I have no idea. But at some point, LeBron decided to get that tattoo and listen to the noise. We have all seen throughout LeBron James' career that LeBron is prone to listening to the noise, and sometimes he cannot block it out. His Twitter handle, Instagram handle, @KingJames, I don't like that at all for numerous reasons. But somebody called him King James. I don't think he did that himself. Somebody called him King James, and he decided to run with that. Great. You're a phenomenal basketball player. Not saying it, but because somebody said something, LeBron James decided to run with what was said about him. Imagine on Friday, Liddell, Branham, Wheeler, all the boys on the basketball court. Imagine if they start feeding into either the pieces that puff up their head or the people that are in podcasts or radio shows that are saying things and giving some pretty honest and needed to be said opinions about this team. Imagine if these players feed into the noise and let that sink into them. Either the positive things about them or the negative things, or maybe even the neutral things. Imagine if they feed into that and it's something they have not done all year. It can drastically impact how they're playing the basketball. It could drastically impact their likelihood of winning the game because they're not blocking out the noise. Ohio State desperately needs to block out the noise. Yes, I would love for them to listen to the podcast or watch it on YouTube, but if they choose to not listen to it this week, I completely understand because their focus completely needs to be on beating the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago on Friday on CBS. Once again, I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Make sure to check out our Locked On Bracket Breakdown, which is available right now on the Locked On Buckeyes podcast feed and will be available on the Locked On Buckeyes podcast YouTube channel. College basketball experts Chris Gordy and Andy Patton bring betting expert, Lee Sterling, give you in-depth breakdowns on every matchup. The flourishing freshman, his season is not over. We all get more time to watch Malachi Branham play the basketball this year. When Malachi Branham committed to Ohio State and when I knew that he was going to be a part of this year's team, I had no idea what to expect. Just going to be completely honest with you. When it comes to freshmen, most of them, I am very skeptical. I know that there is a one-and-done trend. It was a lot more popular 5 years ago than it is right now. But that trend was there, and I think there are numerous players, Paulo Banchero from Duke, Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga, that will be one and done and will be really good pros once they get to the next level. Malachi Branham, I never thought he was going to have a chance to come out this year until I saw a mock draft where he said that he was going to be predicted to be the 41st overall draft pick in the upcoming draft. I still don't think he's ready for that. Once again, blocking out the noise, those things can impact you and you play on the court. Block out the noise, Malachi Branham. You've had a phenomenal season, but don't let that impact you in the NCAA tournament. Because if you do, this young man, Lucas Williamson from Loyola Chicago, a fifth-year senior, this year he has a career high in points and assists. He has 5 rebounds. He averages 5 rebounds a game this year. That is second highest he's averaged in college basketball. In 2018-2019 season, Mr. Williamson averaged 5.9 rebounds per game. But 14 points even is what Mr. Williamson averages per game, shooting 45% from the field, 39.6% from downtown, 75% from the free throw line. I went back and looked at a couple things about Mr. Williamson, 6'4", 205-pound, fifth-year senior, been around a while. The last year's tourney run, he was there. 2018 Final Four trip, He was on the team. So this man's seen a lot of basketball, played a lot of basketball. He has seen a lot of different looks and things thrown his way. And Malachi Branham needs to be ready, because I do believe this is a matchup that we will see most of the game on Friday. Chris Holtmann has showed us he is going to trust Malachi Branham more than the average freshman. And I think Malachi Branham has earned the right to be able to get that trust from his coach. Now, there are times you need to pull back the reins and not allow him to do all the things that he wants to do. Those are just natural things that happen when somebody's on the basketball court. You might, for some reason, think, I could do things that the coach says don't do, but I'm going to try and do them because I want to do those things and defy what the coach has said. This is a game where Malachi Branham needs to stick to the blueprint, because not only is Mr. Williamson averaging 14 points a game, which is a leading score. He is a leading scorer for the Ramblers. He's also somebody that can get you in numerous areas, and he is somebody, if you're not ready, if you're not on your P's and Q's, Mr. Williamson can bust your eye. I mean, he can bust your eye. Now, when I say bust your eye, I'm not literally saying like he's going to start fighting on the court and literally Malachi Branham is going to start bleeding and going back to the locker room or to the bench because he got hit in the eye. I'm not saying that. But this young man, Lucas Williamson, has a nice jump shot. Not just a mid-range game. He can get to the hole and score as well. But his three-point shot, like I said, 39.6% from downtown. That ain't normal. That ain't normal at all. Even though Steph Curry, some people say Steph Curry ruined the basketball, I can give you numerous reasons why Steph Curry has not ruined the basketball. Email me, jstevens317@gmail.com. Send me a DM on the Twitter or the Instagram, same handle, at jstevens07. We can have that conversation about Steph Curry off the space of this here podcast. But Malachi Branham is going to have a lot of eyes on him. I've mentioned it before. Ohio State needs a third scorer, a more consistent third scorer. Sometimes it's been Joey Brunk. Sometimes Jamari Wheeler has been able to fill that space. But they need somebody to consistently be that guy. I don't know who it's going to be on Friday. Well, one, I don't know who's playing. I know some guys who are playing. I don't know everyone who's playing. I have no belief that Justice Suing will play. So I don't know what's going to happen. But one thing I do know is this. Malachi Branham has been tested all year. Malachi Branham, I remember it was a Wisconsin game. I think it was in January. I believe it was in January, maybe December. But I remember it was the Wisconsin game. It was Johnny Davis versus Malachi Branham. You may say, Jay, that's an idiotic matchup. Johnny Davis is going to torch him. Well, the first few possessions, Johnny Davis got the best of the freshmen, and Chris Holtmann quickly made that change defensively. Johnny Davis still did his thing. That boy's he's a hooper. That boy's a dog. He is a dog. But Malachi Branham has already been tested. He's already guarded numerous teams' leading scorers. Yes, he is a little frail. He is not the strongest player. However, he can use his length and his quickness and his brain to be able to combat what Mr. Williamson does. Also, the Buckeye help defense needs to help Malachi Branham in this way, because not only does Malachi Branham needs to bring his A game, everybody on the court needs to bring their A game and eliminate all the mental lapses, because if they don't, Mr. Williamson could go off. I don't think he will, but it's very, very possible. Think about the Michigan game. Think about the Maryland game. Think about some games down the stretch where we saw Ohio State play down to their opponent, play lesser teams that should not be within 10 points of Ohio State on the basketball court. What did we see? Ohio State played down, and numerous times guys had open, and I mean not just open, I mean wide open shots, because these guys are not on their P's and Q's. And not everybody's helping everybody else on the court defend to make sure the ball does not go in the basket when Ohio State is on defense. Malachi Branham is a huge, his play this year has been huge. Absolutely huge. If he wants to make a mark as a freshman in the NCAA tournament, it starts on Friday. I don't know, and I'm not saying And I even right now don't believe, this isn't really even a hot take, I don't believe we're going to see a Carmelo Anthony-esque run from Ohio State like Syracuse did in 2003 by beating Kansas in the national championship game. And we saw Carmelo Anthony have a phenomenal run through that tournament. I think it was 2003. I believe it was 2003 that year. That's off the cuff, off the dome, off the top of the dome. Someone want to fact check me, great, but I do believe that was 2003 when Carmelo Anthony just went smooth off through the NCAA tournament. Ohio State might need that type of run if they want to make a deep tournament run. They might need that type of play, from Malachi Branham. Does he have it in him? I have been asking myself that for a while. He is a player that points per game average in each month of the season that he has played, it's gone up each month. I think 1 month he averaged 18 or 17 points per game in 1 month as a freshman. That's crazy. Sometimes some people will say that's unheard of. That's how good he is. Also, we have not seen the best of Malachi Branham in an Ohio State Buckeye uniform because I do believe Ohio State has a really good shot. The betting odds are not in their favor, but Ohio State has a good shot to prove us all wrong, shut the doubters up, block out all the noise. And it's all going to start with this matchup. Who's going to win it, Branham or Williamson? Can't wait to see it. I know where I'm leaning, but I'll unveil more of my thoughts about where I'm leaning matchup-wise and things like that later in the week. You guys have been phenomenal. Let's go up a notch. Amazing with the YouTube subscriptions. Keep them coming. Remember, we have a goal, 1,000 subscriptions on YouTube. Let's hit that goal really, really soon. So on the Twitter, EA Sports ended up putting out a tweet, and they know this time of year, March Madness is huge, college basketball is huge, and one thing we don't have right now is a college basketball game to play right now on our PlayStation or PS4, PS5, on our Xbox, whatever it is. We don't have a college basketball game. Haven't had one since, I think, the 2009 season. Would have been NCAA basketball 2010. Blake Griffin, when he was at Oklahoma, was on the cover. And I remember watching Oklahoma, and I'm like, okay, Blake Griffin is cool. He's a good basketball player. What's his brother's first name? For the life of me, I cannot think of his brother's first name at all. And I say, brother, why do you think about his brother? His brother was his teammates. They played on the court together. And I could never think about his brother's first name. But Blake Griffin was a show. Blake Griffin was that dude. Blake Griffin was a dog. And Blake Griffin was on the cover of that game. But EA Sports put out a tweet that got people thinking, got people wondering, and it happens to be that at the same time, my buddy Garrett Grandy ended up texting me and saying they need to make a college basketball game. Now, it's not only EA Sports. 2K could make a college basketball game, a college football game. NIL is legal. Maybe they don't want to wait. You don't want to wait, because I definitely don't want to wait for another college football game or college basketball game. And 2K could be behind closed doors, keeping everything hush-hush. Don't tell anybody until the game is ready and finished and published for us to release it at a future date. That could be happening. It's really hard to keep those things under wraps, but it could happen. If they bring back another basketball game, I am going to be so happy, because one thing I loved about that game versus NBA Live or even 2K is the crowd and your ability to get the crowd louder and the ability to ramp up the intensity and the ability for the crowd to affect you when you're on the road. I loved it. I loved it. College sports video games are special. They're different. They're amazing. There's a great thing about college sports that's different than the NBA, different than professional sports, and I hope we always keep it that way. I don't want the games to be the same. A high school football or basketball game is different than a college basketball or football game. A college football or basketball game is different than an NBA or NFL game. They're different. And you know what? Let's keep it that way. But what we don't have to keep different is the fact that there are games for every professional sport and none for college. The NIL is legal. I know it's going to take some time. I know it's going to take a while. I know you got to figure out how to build the game and then get everybody's likeness looking properly, getting all their accessories right, and getting all their heights and weights proper, making sure their face masks are exactly football-wise. I get all of that. But this is a great way. We're all in the money-making business, right? If EA Sports pulls this off and they go out there and not only drop a new college football game, but they also drop a new college basketball game, think about how much money them boys about to make. Because you know what? They could easily raise the amount of money that is needed to pay for a new video game. Why? Because that game's going to be at such high demand. Some of y'all will drop $100 on the new college football game when it comes out because y'all thirsty. Y'all thirsty. Y'all know you can still play the game, the NCAA Football 14 on the Xbox 360. I still do it. I haven't done it in a couple weeks, which is really weird of me. But you can still do it. But you know what? We want something new. We want something flashy. We don't want to spend the time to download the new rosters. We want to make sure that we get the fresh one automatically when the new game comes out. Great, so be it. But if EA Sports pulls this off, I'll be happy. You'll be happy. Many of us will be happy. It's another video game for us to play, another game for us to talk to, another game for us to play online. Not talk to, talk trash to our friends while we're playing the game. I don't know why I said talk to. I'm in a good mood. Sleep has not been my friend lately, but I'm in a good mood. The energy level, you can't tell that I'm running on really no sleep, and I love that. This game comes out, I'll be happy. I'll be talking about it here on the podcast, and I hope you are a person that goes out and spends the money on a college basketball video game because you will enjoy every second of it. Guys, I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of every single day. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This is the perfect time to make your second listen of the day, the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your fine podcast. For this Tuesday, beautiful weather outside. Let's enjoy it a few days before the Buckeyes are back on the basketball courts. But tonight, the NCAA tournament is started. The first four in Dayton. Two Big Ten teams playing. Indiana tonight. You have Rutgers tomorrow. Get there. Get off work. Get on the couch. Let everybody know basketball's on and you're not moving because this is a great time of year. And before we know it, it'll be gone. So let's enjoy every second of it.